Good morning, everybody. It is 8:20 a.m. What's today? January 11th, 2024. We are starting about 25 minutes earlier than from when we usually start because it is CPI day for those that celebrate the day of the CPI. Today is the day. And this is going to be a very consequential CPI, obviously, for a variety of reasons. Bitcoin spot ETFs got approved yesterday. That is the breaking news of the entire financial world. And those Bitcoin ETFs are obviously going to be incredibly important. And they're also going to be important in terms of determining a lot of liquidity that exists today in the markets. We're going to see some inflows going into those Bitcoin ETFs. On top of those Bitcoin ETFs and the crypto universe that we have, obviously CPI is still incredibly important because inflation controls not only interest rates, but it controls the direction of how assets are priced within a market and how Wall Street and institutional investors think of upcoming trends in terms of how to allocate their capital. And as a result of that, if we get a pretty bad report this morning, a hot report, and we're going to talk about our expectations, we're going to get them in about 10 minutes, then and if we get those reports that are bad, we might not see the fun price action we're all expecting. Obviously, we've got a lot of stocks that are up in the pre-market. It's going to be very exciting to look at how those stocks are doing. But if CPI comes in hotter than expected, then maybe those stocks take a little bit of a breather. Now, I don't think that CPI is that big of a deal today, even if it comes hotter than expected. And we'll talk about why. And we talked about why yesterday. So I think it's going to be a fun day in the markets. I think it's going to be a very fun day. But you never know in the next 9 minutes if CPI is bad, then the 47,365 we're seeing on Bitcoin, maybe that's just not that easy to keep. But we're going to see. Overall, it's going to be a really exciting day in the markets. We've got a lot to talk about. We got 8 minutes till CPI. But even after CPI, the amount of Bitcoin news and crypto news and how it's affecting a lot of other stocks, including Robinhood, the Bitcoin miners, etc., it's going to be fun to be able to see. So let's get into it. Joseph Viegas, Top Dasher, Tashi, John, Jose. Oh, by the way, let's do this since we haven't done this in 2 weeks. Comment where you're watching from. Comment where you're watching from. We do that pretty much every week. Haven't done it in a while. So comment where you are watching from. Niels, John, Gerald, good morning from Arizona. I love it. Morning from Compton. Awesome. Boston. Dax, thank you for being here. Rick says he's from Texas. Reem Island, Abu Dhabi. I love it. That's amazing. Ray, Macro, Sethi Roth, Miami Ren, John, Andy, Nick Piercy. We got Kieran. We got Germany in the house. Okay, from Guru Basa. We got Kelly from my bedroom. No, and Igloo instead. We got Benny from Somerset, UK. Ant from Connecticut. David from Arizona. Askell watching from Norway. I love it. Thailand, Singapore, China. We got China in the house. AZ, Arizona. Florida, not so sunny Florida. You know, quite frankly, it's not that cold in Jersey. It was cold last week. This week in Jersey, it's after the rain. I feel like things have kind of cooled down and things are going pretty well. Romania, you know, Michael Jackson performed for 93,000 people in Bucharest, Romania. Raul's probably so mad that I called it Bucharest. I don't know how to say it, but Bucharest, like the big part of Romania, that's where he performed in 1993. I'll never forget that. I wasn't alive, but I watched it afterwards, and so I'll never forget how cool the performance was. Canada, Chicago, Austria, Brooklyn, Switzerland. We got Toby, Scotland, NYC, Inglewood, Disney, Australia, Texas, Boston. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So, I think we need to start talking about what happened yesterday. We got CPI in 6 minutes. So we'll get into CPI in just those 6 minutes, but obviously, Bitcoin news is happening and Bitcoin is here, folks. We have officially got a spot ETF approval on Bitcoin. This is really exciting. Last night, if you were part of Berlin. Also, we have Berlin. We got in the chat, we got to say Berlin. So Berlin is here as well. We obviously, if you were with me all yesterday on the market close, we saw this entire ETF be approved. We were at 45,300 yesterday. Right now at 47,355. Bitcoin up 2% on the day. 48,000. If we can get there, that's going to be really, really exciting because that is a psychological level that we haven't broke. We had 47,900 the day that the SEC announced it, but then they took it down because of the intern messing up the tweet. But outside of that, we haven't got to 47,300 in a while. Ethereum is also up almost 12% in the past 2 days. Ethereum just absolutely killing it and doing a phenomenal job. So we got Ethereum just doing great on the day. Hut 8 mining up 8.9%, Marathon up 5%, Riot up 6.3%, Coinbase up 4%. Clean Spark up 9%, Robinhood up 4%. I did buy 15 $25 call options for January 2025 for Robinhood yesterday. I thought they were fairly cheap given that Robinhood was flat or red yet. The good thing about buying any crypto yesterday or crypto derivative stocks is that everything was cheap because the market was still kind of scared about the ETF approval. So like the run we're seeing today, they were negative 9% yesterday. Like CleanSpark was like negative 8%, so a lot of them are making their gains back, but that gave a little bit good of a buying opportunity yesterday. MicroStrategy as well, up about 4.5% of the day. MicroStrategy was 550 yesterday. Now it's at 590. So a nice little gain if you bought it as well. So we are seeing some really, really interesting price action on Bitcoin. Now, let me look at the ETFs if they are here. The ETFs are not like the prices are not listed, but they will be listed soon. There is another one that was listed this morning from BlackRock. Let me get the ticker for that. That is IBIT. Okay, that was up 27% this morning. IBIT iShares big. Yeah, it's not showing yet on Webull yet. So as you can see, there's a lot of book volume. Look at IBIT. There's a crap ton of orders coming in. So as soon as it is ready to go, it's going to be really exciting to see how it turns out and how we have some momentum when it comes to Bitcoin. Blake says you're starting earlier now. No, today is CPI day. So that's why we got to start early because in about 4 minutes, we're going to get CPI information. So we'll go back to Bitcoin. Obviously, a lot to discuss and a lot to talk about. We got to hear from a lot of people talking about the Bitcoin ETF. In general, today's going to be really, really exciting because at 9:30, when that market opens, we're going to see the market's reaction to CPI, and we're really going to see the pre-market reaction to CPI in a couple of minutes. But we're also going to see the liquidity that begins to enter in regards to inflows. Those inflows haven't really come in yet. They have to be bought, as the market opens. And, maybe there's a God candle on Bitcoin. Maybe it just, maybe it sells off a little bit. Maybe it comes here and there. I have no idea what to expect, but like the bull case is that there's a lot of inflow, a lot of that inflow. Yeah, there's going to be some sell side pressure, but if you've been hodling Bitcoin for the past, I don't even know, even 3 months, you got to really ask yourself, why would I sell, right? Forget 3 years, forget 10 years. Why would you sell right now when there's all of this momentum? And maybe if you have a phenomenal average, you're looking to get out at 50K. But again, it's kind of like NVIDIA. It's like, why would you sell right now? Like theoretically, NVIDIA is a stock that if you have a $100 average, it's at 550 in the pre-markets. You should absolutely be ready to unload some shares. But then the question becomes, why? Is the growth stopping? No. Is Bitcoin getting more inflated? No. So it's like as from that perspective, it's really hard to imagine a lot of people getting rid of their coins, which just puts more buy side pressure on the finite amount of demand that is Bitcoin itself. What is the official energy drink for Amit? I'm buying. We are energetic on the fact that 353 people are here, and I'm grateful beyond imagination that you people are here with me spending your morning, which is very valuable to see what's happening in the markets. We've started streaming kind of full time on this channel over the past week, and it's been going really well. A lot of people have come out to a lot of streams. Yesterday, I did a great stream with Jose on NVIDIA. So for those that don't know what NVIDIA is yet, like myself, he's been holding it since 2018. We had a really good conversation. And me and him are thinking of starting an entire semiconductors podcast every single week where we just discuss stuff that's going on. So I think we're going to start building out a lot of shows on this channel with a lot of people. I think my kind of unique skill set is how I ask questions and some of the, as Rick says, energy that I bring. And if we can get some subject matter experts and things that I'm not as strong in terms of my knowledge base, maybe we could create some really, really good content over the next year and really establish the channel. So that's what I'm excited to do. Now, CPI, we get in about 1 minute. This is the screen. I'm going to put the link in the chat for those that want to see it as well. You have to refresh this screen. I'll be doing it, obviously, but this is the screen that comes for CPI. In November, we had items rise up by 0.1%. That was a 3.1% headline CPI. The market is expecting 3.2 to 3.3. Okay, 3.2 to 3.3. And if we come in below that, we really moon. I don't think we're coming in below 3.1. If we come in at 3 or 2.9, this is going to be a really fun day. If we come in at 3.3, I'm curious to see if the market sells off, and I'm going to switch immediately to the S&P after we get the numbers, and then I'll go back to actually reading through the numbers. But I'm really curious because December is supposed to be hotter. But I don't know if the market cares that much because, quite frankly, the market has internalized it. All right, it's the 8:30. Here we go. This is what we get up for. This is what we do. Most of the world has no idea this is happening, but all of us care about it. We are here. I'm refreshing, and we will see very soon what are the numbers. We will see very soon. You guys can see I'm still refreshing. Let's see. Oh, 0.3. What is that? What is it? 3.4. Wow. That's higher than everyone expected. Huh. Over the last 12 months, all items increased 3.4. That's higher than everyone expected. That's higher than it. Okay, let's go to the S&P. I want to go to stocks. We'll go back into the report, but I want to go to stocks. Ooh, that's higher than every bank expected. That's higher than every bank expected. Yeah, Palantir just dropped. It was at 17 in the pre-markets, guys. It's at 1686 now. Where's the S&P? Ooh, that's higher than everyone. Oh, wow. S&P is red. Damn. S&P's red. Bitcoin just dropped 300 points. Wow. Bitcoin just dropped 300 points. It was at 47,350 2 seconds ago. Nvidia just dropped 3 points. S&P is officially red. Palantir just dropped to 1685. Meta is now red. Where's the Qs? Qs are now red. And it's not red by a lot. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's seriously red, but it definitely is not green anymore. That's a hotter CPI, man. That's a hotter CPI. All right, let's get into the actual numbers. Fuck. I feel like everyone just I needed to say that fuck. Oh man, that wasn't nice. Broccoli Bops is admit. Do that thing where you make the market go up. Oh boy. Damn, bro. That wasn't something we wanted to see. Sorry to be a Debbie Downer, guys, but we did not want to see 3.4. That's a little hot. All right, so let's read. Why does it happen? The index for shelter continued to rise in December, contributing to... Okay, so shelter is going to fall off in the next couple months. So I don't know why. It's the way we count this data. The Fed is so... All right. The energy index... Why did the energy index rise? What? I mean, I know we had the Red Sea stuff, but gas prices are very low. I mean, it more than offset a decrease in the natural gas index. The food index increased 0.2%. Index for food at home increased 0.1%. Damn. Okay. The index for all items less food and energy rose 0.3%. So the biggest contributors were shelter and energy, but energy was down 5% in October and 2.3% in November. So December kind of took it higher, and that's what's fucking us. Damn. That's not winter. Yeah, I guess that's part of it. Okay, let's read energy. The energy index rose 0.4% in December after decreasing 2.3% in November. Yeah, look at that. We decreased 2.3% in November and we increased 0.4%. The gasoline index increased 0.2%, following the 6% decrease in the previous month. Yeah, we're not getting the March rate cut yet. Anyone who thought we were getting the March rate cut, these numbers, no. Maybe January, February changes that. So we've got time, the January, February CPI numbers, but these numbers are not giving us a March rate cut. Jerome Powell would literally... he would never cut rates with these numbers. There's just no way. The gasoline index increased following a 6% decrease. Before seasonal adjustment, gasoline prices fell 5.8% in December. Index for electricity increased. In contrast, the natural gas index fell 0.4% over the month after rising 2.8% the last month. So at least natural gas came down after rising up. Energy index fell 2% over the past 12 months. The gasoline index decreased 1.9%. The natural gas index increased 13.8%. Fuel oil index fell 14.7%. Okay. Used cars. Let me see used cars. Where's used cars? What is the used cars numbers? Used cars increased 0.5%. What? Wow. Used cars increased 0.5% in December. At least it's less than where they rose in November. November is 1.6%. Recreation rose, new vehicles rose, education rose, and airline fares rose. David said, personally, I've never bought the inflation is under control narrative. No, in my opinion, inflation is under control. Inflation is definitely under control. That is my opinion. There's a lot of different avenues to why we can argue inflation is under control. It's just December seems like this was a particularly challenging month. If you just look at gas prices and overall prices around shelter, it is coming down. The shelter's a lagging indicator. This is what I think people forget. The Fed looks at shelter. Like one example is the Fed doesn't look at rents until 6 months after those rents are accounted in for. So even if rents have fallen dramatically, which we've seen, if you look at the St. Louis Fed data, the Fed doesn't care about that stuff. And I don't know why the Fed doesn't take that stuff into account, but that's just how they do it. And so that's why, I do think shelter is going to be one of the biggest contributors in January that falls off. Medical care rose 0.6%. Index for hospital services increased 0.5%. Physician service increased 0.2%. Everything increased. I don't see anything that decreased, quite frankly. Like natural gas came down, but that's not enough. Eggs, I want to see eggs. Eggs is up. Eggs is the index for eggs. So meat, poultry, fish, and eggs came up 0.5%. So eggs are also now expensive. Well, cereals and bakery products it declined. Okay, so your bakery's products are down 0.3%. That's a decline, which is not too bad. Does anyone even eat cereal anymore? Like, I don't think I've eaten cereal in a long time. So energy went up and shelter went up, and that's why we have a crappy report right now. That's why we have a crappy report right now. And Thomas said might just start investing in used cars instead. All right, let's go back to the equities. How bad is it? Oh, wow. Huh. Palantir just went right back up. It's at 1697. It was at 17, went to 1680. Now it's at 1697. S&P is also green. Wait, what? Nvidia is also... Wait, hold on. Bitcoin's recovering too. Did the market just say we don't care? I think the market just said we don't care, dude. S&P's just up. I think the S&P just recovered everything it lost. Bitcoin is very close to recovering what it lost. Palantir is basically at 17, what it lost. Did the market just say we don't give a shit? I think the market just said we don't give a shit. I think Mr. Market doesn't give a shit. I think Mr. Market's like, you know what? January, February is going to be fine. This December report is not that interesting. And quite frankly, I did tweet this last night. I said, I think CPI is going to be hot. And then I think the market's not going to give a shit. And we'll see what happens when the market opens. But in the first 2 seconds, the market absolutely gave a shit. 7 minutes later, I don't know if the market cares, dude. I mean, we're not seeing a sell-off anymore. But everything that was red is now green. SoFi's green. Robinhood's green, up 2.8%. Let's look at the Bitcoin miners. I think they should be fine. Yeah, all of them are green. No problem there. All of them are green. Let's look at Mag 7. All of them are green except Tesla. I might have to buy some Tesla today, dude. I might have to start DCing. I told you guys I'm DCing. I might have to actually Tesla's just staying so depressed at this point. It's like maybe that, but the earnings are next week or in 2 weeks from now. I just don't want to buy too early before earnings if it tanks, but it's the pump before the dump. It might be the pump. Yo, if Tesla goes below 230, I'm absolutely buying today. If Tesla drops below 230, I said yesterday on the technicals, it looks like it could definitely fall below 230. If it does, I'm at least buying a little bit today. I'm buying short QQQ pre-market. We are going down at the open. Look, maybe you're right, but maybe you're wrong too. I mean, because we were down as soon as the market, the CPI report came in, and now the market ate it up. The market did not care. I mean, and even if some stocks are still down, it's not down. I mean, Snapchat's up, for goodness sakes. Why Snapchat's not a stock that should go straight down when CPI is hot. Snapchat has nothing going for it. A bad inflation report is not good for a stock like Snapchat, especially at this valuation. So Snapchat's up. Goodness. Google is fine. 143. By the way, we got a ton of Google news. Google said, get rid of these employees. They cut a ton of employees today, hundreds across different sectors of the company. That's why the market's also excited. And Google probably has a lot more employees they can cut. I mean, you can't tell me there's not a couple thousand people there that are not doing anything all day, right? So that has got the market excited. Google did have to pay some fine for some antitrust lawsuit as well. That's got the market a little, annoyed. But right now, Google is up as well, and we're seeing that. Amit, did you talk about the massive layoffs at Google? Yeah, So total count is unknown, but it's really good for Google, dude. Google's stock has been in the gutter, and they got to give the market a reason to get more excited. Again, I think 140 is I think end of year Google's at least 175. That's my projection on it. just with the share buybacks and cost stabilization. But I'm not even thinking of revenue growth. I'm just thinking like they get rid of some core things and they just decently grow. The market's going to be fine. But yeah, at least they did that today, and the market's now excited about that. AI is already replacing workers, Google, Amazon, SoFi, etc. Just means no rate cuts are coming anytime soon. Yeah, the rate cuts are definitely not coming in March with this data, guys. For those that are just joining in, CPI is very hot. 3.4. The reason I say very is 3.4 is not that crazy than 3.3, but you got to remember 3.4. I feel like was September or August. Like we're going back a little. Or August might have been 4%, but we're going back in time a little bit with this CPI report. And even though it's probably going to come back down, right? It's not that serious. It is a bit hotter than expected, and the market cannot be that excited with these prices here. Let me pull up some other numbers right here. Yeah, I know I'm not looking at core. Let me pull that up. I'm not looking at core. I think that came in a little hot. Let me pull it up. I have some other ones I want to put up. Yeah, I didn't even tweet it yet, guys. I didn't even tweet it. So core CPI fell to, here's the core. Core CPI is at 3.9. I think the market expected 3.9. Well, okay, the market's at 3.8, but that's not that crazy. The CPI inflation one was bad. The headline is just, that headline number is definitely bad. Core is also a little bit hotter. IBIT is mooning. Where's IBIT right now? Is it listed? Well, I know it's listed, but is it? Let me see on my phone. Oh wow. Yeah. I mean, it's up a bit, but we got to see how the CPI affects it. Got to see how that CPI affects it. Oh boy. 33rd consecutive month with inflation above 3%. Okay, let's go to CNBC. Let's see how these guys are talking about it. This is not good. I mean, this is not great. I honestly don't know how to feel about the market reaction, because the market might be the market might just be waiting to either dump or when it opens. All right, let's go here.
Different than short dated. Hey, we've seen Fed officials just yesterday saying the short end is expensive. If they think the short end is expensive, my word would be just keep monitoring the long dated end, because it's not only the inflation nervousness, but it's also debt, paying the debt, supply, 2.1 trillion of sovereign supply for 2024.
Rick, Steve,
okay, so they'll be back in a second. Market knows it's not a big deal. It is. It's not a big deal. It's definitely not a big deal. And I said this over the past week on Twitter. I was like, look, I think CPI is going to come in hotter, but it won't be a big deal. I just didn't think 3.4 would be hot. I thought it would be 3.3. Even 3.2 is hotter. 3.3 is a little bit hotter. 3.4 is like, hold on. We gotta hold our horses there. 3.4 is a little too much. Meta is at 52-week highs in the pre-market. So that's not too bad for Meta. 370 right now in the pre. Meet Kevin's PP is up about 1.17%. That makes sense. He has a big, I think 10% of his portfolio is NVIDIA, I saw today. So NVIDIA now at 550. The craziest story of the week has to be NVIDIA. It started the week at 493, and now we're at 550. Okay. So that is a 11.5% return this week. And they didn't show any new numbers outside of their presentation. So I mean, that is where the market kind of went ballistic this week, I think. If anything has to fall, I think that one might retrace a little bit. But market gave it the premium. Market said, you know what, we'll give it. Nick says the market will be dismissive about the CPI is my feeling. I'm not sure, bro. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. If you know it's not a big deal, why all the drama? Well, I thought 3.3. I did not expect 3.4. 3.4 is a little concerning because it's like maybe there's something actually in the system that's lagging it a little bit. Again, I don't think there's going to be something that crazy, but all right, let's move on to we'll get back to CPI. Let's move on to some Bitcoin stuff. We've got Pompliano on CNBC today. The spot ETF has been approved, so let's get some coverage on that. Let's talk about something more positive. We still got 9:30 to go and massive inflows potentially beginning ready to start. It'll be really cool seeing those ETFs begin trading, and we'll see what happens. Let's get a little bit of coverage on these ETFs that have been approved.
11 Bitcoin ETFs are going to begin trading today after the SEC approved their applications.
The move overturned a decade of the regulators' opposition to the idea. Sure what any of this means, though, when, right, Pomp will talk about it, but when they finally say it's okay, maybe, we talked about it, maybe it's over. Maybe all the people that got in there early now say, I'm gonna offload it to the sheep that can now get in with the ETF.
Well, I think in the short term, there are clearly people who've been buying up in the last 3 months on
Not just
the
that,
expectation of this. And the question is, no, longer term, maybe a very different story.
Do the holders ever sell? I don't know.
I don't think holders ever sell, but I do think this is a historic moment in the sense of it's the first time that the internet and Wall Street, they've had this healthy tension for a couple of years, even a couple of decades. And it's the first time Wall Street blinked, right? Think of it. It's an internet-based asset that now is being arms wrapped around it by Wall Street. And to your point, now that everyone can buy it, financial advisors are saying, okay, ETF regulators are on board. I'm going to go put it in everyone's portfolio. The volatility is going to drastically dampen from here.
But then it could make the move to Andrew's currency that it's never been. The point you don't want to buy a pizza for $25,000. Right. They said there's too much volatility for it to ever be transaction.
Right.
As a store value, maybe it makes it. But if it has no more volatility, maybe it turns into something.
Well, I think like that. When I say no more volatility is going to dampen. What I mean is, over the last 4 years, Bitcoin has had a compound annual growth rate of over 50%. And people are like, "Oh, that's unsustainable for 4 years." But if you go back over the last 10 years, it's still been 50% compound annual growth rate. And so what I think will happen is it'll just start to taper off a little bit, and in the next 5 years or so, it'll be like 20%, which is still double what the stock.
That won't get to Tom Lee's $500,000 though.
Well, but I think what you're asking is a different question. Is it a financial asset? It appears to very much be a financial asset.
Right? Does it become transaction?
Is it a currency?
Yeah.
That's a much higher. Ethereum might be some form of a.
That's up a lot more than Bitcoin today.
There are a lot of other. There are probably a lot of, from a technological perspective, a lot better actually. What I think different technologies in the blockchain for that purpose, if that's what you think this is.
Yeah, there's another interesting thing that's happening, right? So if I go on Wall Street and I ask people, what is your benchmark? They'll tell me the S&P, maybe NASDAQ, right? They have these equity-based benchmarks. If I go ask a 25-year-old or younger, Bitcoin is the benchmark. And so the reason why that's interesting is there's an entire generation of people who say, if I can't beat Bitcoin, then I might as well just buy it. And that's why you see those people, the only thing they're allocating to is Bitcoin or the long tail of crypto assets they're basically speculating on. And so as those people age, now Bitcoin becomes that benchmark. It's going to get into everyone's portfolio. So volatility will dampen down. But ultimately, if you want mass adoption, everyone's got to put it in their portfolio, right? And so the days of the asymmetric 1,000% increases in a single year are probably gone. But an asset that's compounding at 20, 30, 40, 50% a year, you can't get that in the stock market. So I still think it'll be very attractive to a lot of people.
Like that, though? I mean, if it becomes less volatile, if you have everybody able to get into it to do these things, does it still have growth like that?
There's a really interesting mechanism here where we've never had an ETF of a finite asset, right? Every asset is got some degree of increasing or expanding supply. This is a finite asset. And so now all of a sudden you have what could be tens of billions, hundreds of billions, depending on who you ask, that's going to come into this over the next, let's say 10 years. But there's still only 21 million.
There's gold ETFs, aren't there?
But gold still, the supply is expanding. It might not expand very fast, right?
Same with Bitcoin, though. When's the last Bitcoin going to be mined?
2140. Yeah, 2140. And then you got to also remember there's 70% of the Bitcoin that hasn't moved in the last year. And so now we have institutions that are banging on the door. And I think it's important to talk about the fees that have changed as well, right? If you look at Bitwise is now the cheapest Bitcoin fund in America in the sense of it's 0.24% fee, and they just dropped it down to 0.20. That's a 90% difference between where it was, a couple of days ago in terms of the publicly available Bitcoin fund.
Why did all of these ETFs say that they were lowering their fees too? Like in the last
it's a fee war. Yeah, this is a fee war.
And that's what I mean. Is it going to be profitable for anybody? There's a huge amount of demand that's built up, but there's also a huge amount of players who want to meet that demand.
So if you look, Grayscale was at 2%, they dropped to 1.5%, right? And people are like, why didn't they drop all the way down to 0.2%? Well, the big thing is, if you want to go sell your Grayscale and try to roll somewhere else, you're going to have to pay taxes unless you're in a tax advantage account. So there's a lot of assets that are going to stay in Grayscale, right? And those guys will never get enough credit for pushing this issue and really kind of helping push it forward. But I think that what you see is Grayscale saying, hey, we already have a lot of assets. Let's hold on to what we have. And everyone else saying, well, we want all the new assets that are going to come in. So we got to go compete in the fee war. And so 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, how much does it really matter? Some advisors really care. Other advisors say, hey, I just want to buy something that's a great product that I think is going to track the price correctly. But what I think is going to ultimately end up occurring is there's going to be tens of billions of dollars that are going to flow into these ETFs. You have a finite asset, so it will go up.
How many of these?
that basic argument he's making, again, I think it's hard to argue against it. The question is how much sort of manipulation happens when the money does flow in, but the money's going to flow in. Like that's going to, and 930 is going to be interesting because I think that's when officially these institutions can start seeding or more than seeding their ETFs. So 930, we're going to see some inflows.
ETFs do you think will exist in a year or two from now?
I think
will
that
there be so much consolidation, or some of them just decide I'm not doing this anymore?
I think there will be more 12 months from now in the aggregate number, but there will be a clear 2 to 3 winners, right? And so my guess is that BlackRock will end up being very, very successful. I think Grayscale will hold on to a lot of assets. And then there's kind of this competition among what I'd say all of the like digital or internet-based kind of innovation tech type ETFs. They're all going to go fight it out. And so if you have 3 big winners, right, then that ends up being probably tens of billions of dollars.
But Andrew's right. Is that a huge consolidation war?
Yeah, it's basically everyone will keep it because they want it, right? There's a lot of people who have the S&P, index, even though they don't have a lot of assets in it. It's
Do you think long term this is, and I asked this, and we'll show a little bit in the interview, I think later with Brian Armstrong of Coinbase. Do you think this is good for the Robinhoods and Coinbases of the world or not? Because the truth is, if you no longer need to get a Coinbase account because you can buy this through your Fidelity account, yeah, what does it actually, I mean, look, they're going to make money because they're going to be a custodian on the other side of it, but that's a different business.
This is a good question.
So I've invested in Bitcoin. I've invested in a lot of equities across this thing. And this is an interesting day because I'm an investor in 21 shares. I'm an investor in Coinbase. I'm an investor in Bitwise. And so I'm seeing kind of how each one of them is playing this out. And one of the things that's most interesting is the ETF fee war may leak out into custody fee war and also exchange fee war. So Coinbase may have to drop their fees because it may be more inexpensive to hold the Bitcoin ETF for a year than to make one simple trade on Coinbase. So obviously there's pressure there. But also, I think there's a very, very big contingency of people who are educating others about Bitcoin who say buying the ETF is not buying Bitcoin, right? You're buying exposure to Bitcoin, but you're not actually buying the Bitcoin. You're not self-custodying that Bitcoin. And so what we're going to see is how many people care about self-custody versus care about just the exposure to the price.
Coinbase,
I think that will shift.
It can't be good near term. Coinbase's fees.
Coinbase is highly
blows me away whenever I've done anything on Coinbase. Yeah. It's like, wait a minute, it was trading here. Why am I getting it? And I look at it. I mean, what are they, 5% or something?
Here's another really interesting idea from an investment perspective is the public market drastically or misunderstands a lot of these crypto businesses in the sense of Coinbase has their exchange fees. They have their custody fees. They also have a lot of what I'll call crypto native revenue, right? So they have this new blockchain called Base and they're generating a lot of revenue there. Miners, a lot of their revenue is actually driven by the price of Bitcoin. So if the price of Bitcoin doubles, their revenue doubles because the revenue is denominated in Bitcoin.
The fee structure itself.
The fee structure, it will compress, but they're essentially just shifting it into more of a crypto native revenue stream.
Okay, you're an investor in Coinbase.
Correct.
So you're looking at all of this. Are you more likely to sell based on this, or do you think you're likely to add to your position?
I think that any company in the public markets that has crypto native revenue is going to do very well over the next 1 to 2 years.
So you're not looking to sell.
I'm definitely not selling.
So you think 1 to 2 years? Do you think 10 years?
Investing's hard and predicting 10 years out is nearly impossible, right? What I think is that this is a generational trend where there's an asset class that didn't exist 15 years ago. Now, obviously, it's not going away. And so if you just look at where is money, where is talent flowing, you got to say, okay, crypto is going to be a big beneficiary over the next decade or so. The individual winners, there's always going to be competition, right? There's always going to be newcomers that show up and try to disrupt the incumbents, et cetera. And then you also got to look at like what happens if some of the large legacy players do some consolidation with some of these crypto players. Like if, and again, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but let's say that BlackRock all of a sudden says, let's go buy Coinbase and we'll give them their distribution, right?
They're toast.
That would be interesting, dude. Basically, Pomp is saying at its core, we're going to let him finish, but he's basically saying is the price of Bitcoin is going to go up because of these inflows. There's going to be more demand side pressure and miners, derivative plays. The answer to his question is all of them are going to have a stake in this pie. And as a result of that, he's saying that he's not trying to sell because there's just so many different assets that could benefit from this.
I need to ask you this. So 900 billion, that's a market cap, right? So 70% of the holders will never sell. So how much do these ETF that we talked about, how much Bitcoin do they need to put in? Where are they going to get? I mean, do they need, how many billion do they need to put it in the ETFs? And where are they going to get it? from the 70%? Is they going to get it from the 30%, or are the 70% willing to sell at 60,000?
Yeah.
70,000. Where do they get it?
So my prediction is $2 billion in the next 48 hours into the ETFs. It'll smash every ETF record launch that we've ever seen.
That's still small though, compared to $950 billion.
Correct.
Of
And there's a multiplier effect, right? So $1 in doesn't just mean $1 in the market cap movement, but definitely it's not 900 billion. The second thing is that Grayscale's GBTC, before it had it doesn't have a redemption function. And so if you go back to 2020, there was billions of dollars flowing into that vehicle. And they eventually had about 3.5% of all the circulating supply that went into that fund. And we went from $8,000 to $64,000 in a matter of 6 months. And so what I think people don't
That's interesting.
Remember is that if 70% of that supply is being held illiquid by these holders, they will sell at some point. It's just going to be at a much higher price.
Why would they sell? And I've thought about it. You know, I've got a tiny amount, and if it's going to $500,000, I'll never sell. But I look at it, I'm thinking, wow, it'd be nice to get, 46 is not a bad number.
There's a lot of people who sold Amazon over the years, right? And many other great investments. But I think
we don't know it's in Amazon.
well, it's been better than Amazon.
Yeah, but from here.
from here.
I think it would take a lot of intestinal fortitude to buy it at 50,000.
Well, again, if you just look at, okay, I have a finite asset, I have a wall of demand that's coming in, right? Billions of dollars at a minimum, probably tens of billions of dollars. And it's a generational asset shift where people are saying, I'm not going to go allocate to these other assets. I'm going to go use this as my
too late, isn't it, Andrew? I mean, you'd be crazy. One Bitcoin for 50 grand when you could have bought it at 5, right?
Well, yeah, you'll feel bad if that's what you're trying to say.
Well, see, the thing here as well, and I think this is also important, is this is what we talked about yesterday, calling about unit bias. Yeah, most retail investors, I think, would not feel comfortable thinking, well, why would I buy Bitcoin at 50 grand when I missed it at 5 grand? But a Bitcoin ETF at $27, I mean, like, a lot of people probably don't even know about the price of Bitcoin, right? They don't even care about. They just like, oh, I just want some exposure. $27, I can get exposure to Bitcoin. All right, give me 1,000 shares, right? So I don't know, like, if even if the ETF goes to $100, $200, like, it's just so much more reasonable to be able to buy an ETF, which then creates these subsidiary demand flows for the institutions that are custodians of those ETFs to buy more Bitcoin, which should be a positive correlation between the inflows of funds into the ETF and to the asset price of Bitcoin itself. So, I mean, look, it's going to be pretty exciting. $2 billion, he said, is going to be coming into the coin. And yes, that's peanuts compared to the market cap, but I mean, $2 billion is still $2 billion of demand. The only way that $2 billion doesn't affect Bitcoin is if it subsequently gets sold off by the same amount of money that's coming in, right? So if 2 billion comes in and the price goes to 48.5, and then 2 billion comes out and the price goes back to 46.5 or whatever, that's when the 2 billion has pretty much zero effect. But the question becomes, who's going to be selling, right? And that's why the conversation that we just saw went to the question of, do you sell? And again, I think about it like NVIDIA right now. NVIDIA at 547 in the pre-markets, like, yes, people have sold Amazon and Tesla over the years, right? If they had really good averages. I spoke to an NVIDIA shareholder yesterday from 2018, and I straight up asked him, why aren't you selling? And he's like, dude, like, why the hell would I sell? He's like, they are the epicenter of GPU demand for everything that is turning into something that's going to be operationalizing AI, which is everything on the planet. So if they, yes, the growth rates are never going to be 200% every single year for the next 10 years, but they're still going to be pretty high. There's still a lot of room to grow. And I think the argument that is equivalent to that in the context of Bitcoin is that there's 21 million. There's not going to be any more. In fact, the rate of how many are mined per minute are going to be cut in half by April, which means there's going to be more demand chasing a limited supply of assets. And that's what's going to get this thing to go higher. And that's what makes sense in the context of Bitcoin. And that's why we're seeing some upside momentum there right now in the pre-market. So Bitcoin right now, 47,000. This is also really good. I mean, Bitcoin was stuck at 45.3 last night. So even if you bought the dip yesterday when they first announced the news, and it kind of came down, you're already up right now on Bitcoin. Bitcoin, 47,340. We got Ethereum at 2,600 as well. Ethereum has just done absolutely phenomenal today. Let me know if anyone is in the mining stocks in the chat. We got CleanSpark up about 8.36%, Coinbase up 3.4. Again, I don't think you're going to see a parabolic move in Coinbase because Coinbase is it 3x last year. So, yeah, they're going to make money off this, but a lot of it is priced in for Coinbase, in my opinion. Like, could they go higher? Sure. But I do think a lot has been priced in from the market's perspective of just like, now Coinbase needs to show the numbers to justify giving them a 4x last year. They went from I think less than 10. They went from 6 billion to 36 billion in market cap, right? Robinhood to me has not been priced in. Robinhood went from a $5 billion market cap or $6 billion market cap to 10 billion, and half of their market cap is still in their cash. So I think Robinhood has a bit more room to run. And if we see a nice Bitcoin run today, Robinhood might have some more momentum, but Coinbase has, definitely ran a lot since the past year. We got CleanSpark in the chat. CleanSpark Marathon. I'm doing a lot more due diligence on CleanSpark. I know I said I'm doing a gamble and I just threw some money in it, but I've been doing some research, and look, I'm getting more bullish. That doesn't mean I'm buying a lot of it. I made my gamble. I bought my options, and they're there in the portfolio. And if they, if CleanSpark goes to $20, I'm gonna make 30, 40 grand. So it's gonna be nice. But I'm starting to do a lot more due diligence of understanding why their hash rate in particular, which is looking to be industry the industry leader, is going to lead them to be doing better. Yes, I know they have the whole dilution thing that's going on, and that's not good. But as a miner, they have to dilute in order to be competitive. And I'm just doing a lot more due diligence on how vertically integrated they are and why I kind of think they're the better play across all the Bitcoin mining stocks. It's so funny. I'm going to post an interview later, just like on Twitter. I told you guys this. I literally interviewed the CleanSpark executive chair a year ago. It's just insane that I actually interviewed this guy, and now I'm an investor. I just want to pull that up real quick. So we got CleanSpark. Let me show it to you guys. And I was looking at some of the questions I was asking him last time, and it was just so cool knowing that I was talking to this guy. So this is Matt Schultz. He's the executive chair of CleanSpark. Look at me. We got a mitt with the beard right there. That's when I thought the beard was, everything. And there he is. And we were talking about a ton of stuff, and we just discussed a ton of things. So this is, I think the stock at that time was like $2, $3. So things have changed. What's the bad news? Headline news for those that are just joining. CPI came in hotter than expected. And that CPI came in at 3.4% on the headline, 3.9% on the core. And that 3.9 on the core was not, that wasn't good. And the headline wasn't good either. Energy picked up the most. Poultry was up a little bit. Gas was up, or natural gas came down, but energy overall was up. Energy and shelter, those two, they messed us up today. They didn't help us up. They didn't really help CPI go down, but it seems like it's a simple bump in the road. The markets have pretty much ignored it. Oh, wow. Look at that. Bitcoin 47.5. There we go. There's some momentum on Bitcoin. 47,500 on Bitcoin. Ethereum 2,600 as well. Ethereum was 1,500 3 months ago. So Ethereum obviously done phenomenally well. Bitcoin was about 27,000. S&P right now, it's a little red, but you would expect the S&P to kind of have a nice sell-off given a very hot CPI, at least hotter than every single bank. Deutsche Bank, Bank of America, JP Morgan, all these guys said 3.3 is the top. Then we came in at 3.4. S&P is pretty much flat, right? It's down 0.17%. It's not that bad. S&P was at 477 yesterday at the top, which was close to the January 2022 highs. I think the market has basically said, yeah, it's going to be bad in terms of December CPI, but it's not going to be bad for the next couple of months. And so the narrative is still in play for that CPI to fall off a cliff and for the Fed to eventually have to cut rates. And that's what we're seeing right now. Tesla's getting hammered in the pre-markets. Tesla right now, 230, down 1.64%. Kind of looks like it's going to fall off that 230 level, and we're going to have to buy some Tesla shares. But Tesla right now at that 230 level, 52-week low on Tesla was 114, $743 billion market cap. Tesla has a lower market cap than Bitcoin right now. Tesla has a lower market cap than Bitcoin right now. Let's get some coverage on Kathy as well, talking about Bitcoin. She revealed a couple things yesterday. She revealed that 25% of her personal net worth is in Bitcoin. She did say that yesterday. 25% of her personal net worth is in Bitcoin. And she said her base case on Bitcoin is 600,000 on 2030. Bull case is 1.5 million. Okay. So she's a little bearish, just a little bearish. I'm sorry, bullish. But what was also interesting is that she obviously, 25% of her net worth. This is the first time she ever said that publicly. So 25% of her net worth in Bitcoin is that's a baller move, dude. That's a baller move. DCA into Tesla on the way down. Yeah, I think so. I think DCA onto Tesla on the way down. Kelly, amazing tweet. Tesla has a lower market cap than Bitcoin. I feel like I've heard that before. I don't know. I feel like I heard that before, but that's great. Awesome stuff. That due diligence that we're seeing on your Twitter. I love it. Okay, let me pull this up right now. Let's pull up her talking about Bitcoin last night and her personal allocation. Let me pull that up. Oh, we also have short interest on SoFi and Palantir. We also have okay. This is a quick clip, and then we'll do short interest on SoFi and Palantir. So this is a 1 minute clip, and then yeah, we got some big numbers on those. Let me show you guys that. But this is a 1 minute clip. This is Kathy talking about Bitcoin.
Worth or how much Bitcoin or crypto linked you own?
Yeah, of my financial net worth, all of it is pretty much all of it is in innovation. Let's put it that way. To the, it's just my degree of confidence in the depth of our research gives me the courage, people might say, to be more aggressive in this realm, either in our kind of funds and private funds, or crypto, primarily Bitcoin. And I would say this is going to be a very rough guess because
Sure, no problem.
I don't really. Yeah, my guess is that excluding ARK, the company, and excluding real estate, that of the financial net worth, it's at least 25%.
Okay. Kathy Wood, thanks a lot for your time. I appreciate you joining us here. Big day.
Big day indeed, folks. All right, so that was Kathy Wood, 25% of her net worth on Bitcoin. Let's go to Palantir and SoFi short interest, okay? Let's talk about that. By the way, put in the chat if you own Palantir and SoFi, not or SoFi and SoFi. I want to see who are the hodlers of both these bad boys, not just one or the other. You could also put in the chat if you own one or the other. That's fine as well. But I just want to see how many people here actually own both those stocks. I think there is some synergy between, I mean, there's a certain subset of the Palantir community that just hates SoFi for whatever reason. I'm not part of that subset, even though I know I call it a bank. And then there's a certain subset that like loves SoFi and just hates Palantir. And I think that has more people. There's more people that love SoFi and hate Palantir than people that love Palantir and hate SoFi, because the SoFi people feel like they've been disrespected because like no one takes them seriously because it's a fucking bank. Whereas the Palantir people are like, dude, our growth rate isn't there, but we are the most sophisticated modern operating system for the enterprise. We are the most exciting company in the world, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's just like, so it's like a bank versus Palantir. You know what we're going to pick, but our growth isn't there. SoFi's fucking growing at 40%. So I was like, all right. So we all got these arguments going back and forth. Oh, by the way, we have another Palantir partnership as well. So we'll do short reports and then we'll do Palantir partnership. All right. So Palantir short report. We have decreased the percentage of shares sold short by about 6%. 2 weeks ago, we were sold short about 5.95, call it 6%. Now it's 5.55. So about half a basis point we came down in terms of our decrease of the short report. 101 million shares out of 2.1 billion shares are sold short, which is kind of peanuts. Okay. It's kind of, I mean, this was like 150 million, 180 million like 2 months ago. So the shorts have covered. The shorts have absolutely covered. 101 million out of 2.1 billion. Not too bad. Here's CARP in Israel yesterday. The entire Daily Palantir episode I did yesterday talked about CARP in Israel. So if you guys want to get coverage on that, full 20 minutes just discussing everything going on with Palantir in Israel. But that is a short report. And then we got SoFi. Okay. SoFi actually came down a little bit more. SoFi shares sold short are now 118 million. Their short float was 16% 4 weeks ago, then 14.5% 2 weeks ago, and now it's 13.3%. So it is coming down. You still got 10% or higher than 10% sold short, which is not really, fun to see. But the shorts have started to cover a little bit more. I think that parabolic move from 6 to 10 kind of got people really scared on SoFi, and that's why you got the shorts. Didn't really see a doubling down because it's coming, it like sequentially keeps going down. But the shorts the short float has fallen down to 13.3% on SoFi. SoFi right now, 850 in the pre-markets. In the chat, we have a lot of people that have both. John has both. Raul has both. Greg has both. Jittery Hobo has both. Tyler has both. Tons of people have both. 65% Palantir, SoFi 27%. Dude, I think a SoFi Palantir portfolio over the next 5 years is going to outperform a lot of portfolios. I personally think that. If you just put your money in SoFi Palantir, I really do think they're going to do well just because of the extensive DD I've done. But Matt says, why would I own a bank? But in general, if they're both very speculative, that's the problem. And if they're both very speculative, then it might not, they might not do as well. Oh my goodness, Bitcoin. We're pumping on the Bitcoin. Here we go. We got 47.7. Oh boy. Oh boy. We are 3 hundo away from 48. We are 3 hundo away from 48. And once we pass 48, there might be a little bit of momentum up higher. Palantir also just fell in the pre-market. We were at 17. Now we're at 1676. So definitely got sold off. That's probably CPI macro related. Dude, it's going to be really interesting because I am so curious how the crypto stocks are going to perform as soon as this opens. Because I mean, they've been kind of flat all week, and now you got Bitcoin up for the week. How much is Bitcoin up for the week? Let me just check right now. I think it's up like 6% for the week. I think it's up. It's up 8%. Yeah, 8% in the past 5 days. We were at 43,000 on Sunday. We're at 47,000 today. So it's going to be fun to see how this happens. It's going to be very, very fun. Amit, what are your expectations for AIP numbers? Do you think it will impact that commercial customers right now? We can wait for AIP monetization, but for now, we need to see the customers. Yeah, I think we should have customer growth of upwards of 10%. For the past 2 quarters in Palantir, it's been 8% from Q2 and Q3, which has not been good, obviously. It's been pretty stagnated, and it did reverse a trend of decrease to increasing, but it's not as good as it needs to be. If we can get 12 to 13% customer growth next quarter, I really don't give a shit about any other metric. That's the only metric I care about because the monetization will happen. But they've just got to get those numbers. If we don't get those numbers, it's like, again, the street, it's just not going to keep the multiple. And if you ask me, do I think we're going to get the numbers? I just don't know. Like at this point, I think we will. But on top of that, Q4 it ended. I don't know how well we did in Q4 to justify a huge quarter. I think Q1 2024 might be a little bit better. But we're going to have to see, which is why, honestly, it's a lot of DCAing and buying and holding and just like hoping that the company gets their stuff together over the past couple of the next quarters. Okay, let's do the Palantir update that we have today as well. So Palantir partners with University of Colorado and Schultz Medical Campus to establish the All of Us Research Program Center for Linkage and Acquisition of Data. This is another healthcare partnership. This comes the second partnership this week, where we had a Option Care Health partnership, another public company that we had a AIP particular integration with on Monday. So let's read a little bit from this. We originally began a partnership with the University of Colorado NIH in May of 2020 through our work as the Secure Data Enclave for the National COVID Cohort Collaborative. Recognizing that critical health outcomes require close collaboration across the healthcare ecosystem, we're honored to partner with the peers across government, industry, and academia to support the All of Us Research Program, said Hirsch Jain, head of public health. This program has the potential to dramatically improve health outcomes, and we are excited to be a part of the team. After an initial 18-month base period, the award may be renewed annually for up to 4 additional years so the team can continue to build on this work and include additional data streams for research. Essentially, they're collaborating with a hospital, and they're building out the integrated, interoperable data sets to be able to manage all of the research that is coming in. As they're saying right here, Palantir software will serve as the interoperable digital backbone of the platform, securely connecting new types of information to the All of Us participant data to provide researchers more information to better understand the factors that influence health and ultimately ingest, harmonize, and evaluate the quality of the new data sources. Sort of a basic thing that Palantir does with a lot of hospitals, a lot of different healthcare institutions. The key thing here is that, again, they are continuing to pile on their work in the healthcare vertical. And I don't know if this is like a big partnership in terms of money or what it may mean, but it just means that a lot of companies, academic institutions, et cetera, that are realizing that they need to have a secure, collaborative understanding of their data, they're looking to a company like Palantir. And as a result of that, it just continues to increase the capacity for Palantir to dominate healthcare. And so that's the exciting part for what we're seeing right now in the context of Palantir. This is a good partnership. It's not like a partnership that's necessarily going to get the market excited. It's definitely not like the Options Care partnership that we got on Monday. But it is a decent partnership that I think should continue to contribute to them both. We have some news from Hertz as well. I want to play this. This is a little weird news. This also might be the reason why Tesla is down a little bit. Let's look at this right now.
Just out from car rental company Hertz, it says it has made the strategic decision to sell 20,000 electric vehicles from its U.S. fleet. That's about a third of the global EV fleet, a result in the recognition of about a $245 million charge in net depreciation on those sales. Reinvest a portion, it says, of the proceeds into the purchase of internal combustion engine vehicles. It says going forward, it will continue to actively manage the total size of its EV fleet. Last October, Hertz said it would pull back on its initial plans to buy 100,000 Teslas. We're going to be talking to Tesla backer Kathy Wood in the next hour, but it is I don't want to say a nail in the coffin because I don't think it's dead, but I do think it's going to take a lot longer
And who wants to
for
go
EV
and rent
adoption.
something and not know how to work it and not know where you're going to charge it or what to do with
The
it?
infrastructure is not there for the charge.
Right. And by the way, if you're going to buy it, you're going to have the infrastructure at your house or something
But it's
else.
just funny
But if
they're
you're there
using
for
the
a rental,
proceeds to buy some gas guzzlers. It's just unbelievable.
It's interesting.
It is weird. They're saying they're selling 20,000 Teslas to buy oil cars because there's not enough EV infrastructure for their customers. Hertz is a car rental company that allows them to make sure that their customers have easily available charge vehicles. It's a really kind of weird thing that they're doing here.
Because I think obviously there was an expectation that the infrastructure would be there or that there'd be more interest. And you have so many stories. You can go on social media and like folks who, rent a car.
Yeah.
They get to the airport and then they think they're going to go somewhere. They have to drive 3 hours, right? A Tesla is a great product if you're going to work every day and
This
it's a
isn't just
45-minute,
Tesla. This is
hour
like
thing, and you
the Mustang EV,
know
this
where
is-
everything is.
Right.
But if you have to get to the airport and
This
then
is
drive
just
a longer thing,
a complicating factor.
Yeah.
I don't want to borrow a new phone to try it out on a trip either when I'm so stretched thin and I'm trying to figure other things out. This is not a Tesla issue. This is an EV issue, EV issue writ large.
You saw she used writ large. It's a good word. It's a common term. Now, this is probably why Tesla's down right now. I mean, oh, by the way, Bitcoin 47.8. Oh my. Oh my, oh my, oh my. So this is why Tesla's probably down. I mean, obviously the Hertz thing is not that correlated, but Tesla did sell Hertz a bunch of cars. And the fact that Hertz is selling them, it doesn't hurt Tesla. It's just the narrative that they don't have the capacity to service their clients because there's not enough EV charging infrastructure. Again, Tesla down 1.5% of the day. It's not Tesla's fault, but it is an argument that maybe, EVs are not the future, even though that's not a great argument because the infrastructure will be there. But that is something that's a little bit of a bearish case on at least what the market perception is of EVs in general. Bitcoin 47,832. Look, it looks like it wants to just like explode right now. I mean, if you look at this chart, it looks like it just wants to fucking explode and get out of this $40,000 range and officially get into the 50s. Some technicals I saw from Jesse's profile today, he thinks 52 is very, very likely if we see the sort of God candle and inflows that people are expecting from these ETFs. So we're going to see at 9:30 what it looks like and where it goes. IBIT is 28. Is it on Webull yet? Have they listed it? No, they haven't listed it yet. It's on Robinhood, I did see. So all the ETFs will be listed very soon. And we are going to see kind of how these ETFs end up looking like. Let me actually try to find all the ETF ticker symbols. Bitcoin ETF tickers. Oh, here we go. I got all of them. Okay, cool. So these are what all of them. I'm going to put them in the chat right now. Let me put this here and then I'll put up. Let me play another clip. I just want to pull up one more thing and then I'll post these as well. So we've got about 12 minutes until the market open. S&P is doing well. Bitcoin's doing well. For those that are just joining, market did not like the CPI report, or at least for the first 10 minutes, market did not like the CPI report. And then CPI ended up not really caring that much. Market is green, even though CPI came in hotter than expected on core and on the headline. But market so far does not care. And we'll see if that God candle is ready to happen on Bitcoin and if things can keep going forward. Peter Giraldi, thank you for the $2 super chat. I love watching Amit's evolution on Bitcoin. And again, I just want to clarify this. A lot of people have seen my evolution on Bitcoin because you guys knew I was a bit of a, I wouldn't say bear, just more skeptical of Bitcoin over the past 12 months. Because bearish assumes like you think it's going to go to shit. My thing was just like, what's the utility, right? And I genuinely mean that. I had no opinion about the price. My opinion was like, why do I need this? And then, I hate to repeat it because you guys heard the story, but I sent a guy in Nigeria $1,000 last week. Yes, go ahead, make your Nigerian prince jokes in the chat. And I got a valuable product or service. And I did it via Bitcoin. And that's when I was like, holy shit, this is actually useful. Like that was my moment of just like, wait a second, this is going to unlock a lot of opportunity across the world. And then you get into the whole Michael Saylor orange pilling stuff that has happened if you followed me on Twitter, given I've consumed his podcast. Okay, here's Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, on the Bitcoin ETFs.
Is the custodian for most of those instruments. And I spoke with the company CEO, Brian Armstrong, last night, first on CNBC. This was right after the decision came out. And I asked him about the magnitude of this moment.
This is a monumental step for the crypto industry and for Coinbase too. And the reason is that, look, there's 52 million Americans who have been using crypto over the past decade. And I think they've been hungry for some kind of acknowledgement from government and the SEC in particular that this asset class is here to stay. And they finally got that. It took a long time. I want to give a big shout out to Grayscale, which is one of the firms that pursued this in the court to finally get it to fruition. But it finally happened. We had a number of ETFs approved today. And of course, it was a big day for Coinbase too, because we were named as the custodian in 10 out of 13 of these applications. So I think this means that over time, we'll see new pools of capital come into Bitcoin. But more importantly, we had a huge regulatory milestone that showed the legitimizing power of this industry.
How much does this impact your business?
Well, we're not sharing any kind of projections or revenue numbers, but I can tell you this is very win-win. And the reason is that, yes, we're going to generate revenue as the custodian of 10 out of 13 of these ETFs. And that's great for these new pools of capital that want to come in and get exposure to Bitcoin. But our existing customers and our retail app, where we've had all these people come in and get crypto to date, they don't just want exposure to Bitcoin. They also want to use Bitcoin for a variety of things. They want to use the other crypto assets out there for commerce and staking and Web3 and decentralized identity. And so, this is the future of money we're talking about here.
There are going to be people who have wanted to get access to the Bitcoin world, to invest in Bitcoin. Historically, the only real way they could do that was to use Coinbase, for example, to buy Bitcoin and hold it. Now they're going to be able to buy a Fidelity ETF or the Grayscale ETF or the BlackRock ETF. How does that impact your business? Now, I know you're the custodian on one end, but it also means that those customers don't necessarily have to get an account on Coinbase.
People who've been buying crypto for the last decade and using it, the 52 million Americans, they already had an option, right? They could come to Coinbase and they're going to continue to do that. This ETF is really about unlocking new pools of capital that weren't previously available. They didn't have a way to get exposure to crypto. And so now they can come in and get exposure to Bitcoin. That's great. New pools of capital come in. But that's kind of the first step in people's journey around crypto. Once they get a little bit of exposure to the asset class, they start to think about, okay, well, how might this be used in different ways? And crypto is the future of money. It's going to enable people to unlock all kinds of utility, which we can talk about if you want. But I think many of them will graduate from ETFs to actually holding it directly and then starting to use it directly.
So in a blog post, you say that spot Ether, a spot Ether ETF can quickly follow. How soon do you think that happens? And then beyond that, is it Solana? Is it, you name the coin? How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, well, obviously that's not entirely in our hands, so I can't give you an exact date. But I do think that this will hopefully pave a way for other crypto assets to have their own ETFs. And then, frankly, we should have index funds for crypto assets too, just like the S&P 500. Hopefully maybe one day it'll be the Coinbase 500 or something like that. And you could even imagine different index funds that focus on, DeFi or staking or NFTs or different subsets of the crypto market. So this is a really important new area of the financial, markets, and I think that it'll have all kinds of new products come to market after this.
As you read through the decision today, was there anything that struck you about the words and maybe the word choice that the SEC used? And the reason I'm even asking this question is, to me, sort of reading through it, this was an approval, but almost an unenthusiastic one. It was one in which you could sort of feel a sense that they felt boxed in large part by the lawsuit that you referenced earlier from Grayscale and that decision. But left to their own devices, this is not something they would have done by themselves, and what that portends for the future.
Yeah, it does sound like it was kind of a begrudging approval. So, on the one hand, I'm glad we have an approval. It's a recognition for the 52 million Americans who are excited about this and hopefully more in the future. But would it have been better if it had followed a more typical process, if it had been held to the same standard as other ETFs? Absolutely. We have our own case with the SEC, for better or worse. That's not something that we ever really wanted to be in that situation. But if we're not going to get clear rules from the regulator, Unfortunately, we may have to avail ourselves of the court to get case law created. The courts played a big role, as you mentioned, in these ETFs. And then ultimately, I think we're going to have to look to Congress to pass new laws, because ultimately that's where the regulators derive their authority. And I think it's pretty clear at this point that we do need new laws on the book to clarify some of these outstanding issues around what's a commodity, what's a security, the different types of market structures that could apply to crypto.
Does this change your relationship with the SEC or how you might pursue lawsuits in the future?
My hope is that we've had really great conversations and relationships with, the SEC staff that are there, from one administration to the next. They've been great to work with. I think that we want to continue to engage with them so that this can be a trusted and regulated industry in the United States. It's really a shame that we've had to kind of go to the courts to get clarity, and that's what Grayscale had to do in these ETF cases as well. That's not the right way that rulemaking should take place under the Administrative Procedures Act. It's not the way that we want to engage. We've shown up for dozens of meetings. We've really showed a good faith effort to provide every piece of information that they've ever asked for. And whenever we've kind of asked for clarity, we don't get an answer back. We get a Wells notice. So that's not the way that relationship should ideally work. And we're committed to working with them indefinitely.
What did you make of the Twitter hack yesterday? I'm sure you first saw the tweet or the X post come up, and I don't know, did you think it was real? What did you think?
I don't want to comment on that. It's unfortunate that cybersecurity incidents are so prevalent out there, and they've happened.
In his head, Brian Armstrong wants to be like, the SEC is filled with idiots. That's what he wants to say, but he can't say that.
To many people in the crypto industry too. So I have a lot of sympathy. We all need to kind of make sure that our systems are secure. And it was unfortunate that was a distraction from what was otherwise a really important announcement.
Do you see flows? And you've been watching this, especially the last couple of months. Obviously, Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin has been on a tear, in large part, arguably, because of speculation that this day was going to come. What do you think that means and portends for the price of Bitcoin in the short term and in the long term?
Well, I try not to ever focus too much on the short term. The volumes today I didn't see any major price movements happen, but I think you're right. Over the last 2 to 3 months, the market did move up quite a bit, and probably that was at least in part due to the anticipation of these approvals. So look, I'm optimistic on that. I think these approvals will bring in new pools of capital over the coming many years. I try to take a long-term perspective on this, and we really just want to help 1 billion or more people hopefully benefit from this technology on Coinbase's platform. We're not so much interested in the day-to-day movements of it.
25 years from now, 50.
All right, folks, we got about 3 minutes until this market opens. Here's all the tickers that we're going to be looking at as this goes live. So you got ARKB, Bitwise, BlackRock, Fidelity, Franklin Templeton. By the way, this Franklin Templeton company, they are a big asset management firm, I guess is what you want to call them. And yesterday on their Twitter, they changed their picture to this. They have 1.5 trillion under management, and this is what they changed their profile picture to. So yeah, people are they're exciting. We got Grayscale, Invesco, Galaxy Digital, Valkyrie, VanEck, Wisdom Tree. These are the 12 you want to look at, or I think 13 of these as we begin. And yeah, we got 2 minutes until history is made and inflows begin coming in to Bitcoin. Right now on Bitcoin, here we go. We got 47,900, close to 47,900. And then in the next minute, yeah, there you go, 47,900. Dude, it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be really exciting. Not exciting, not just because it could go up, but also it could sell off. Like no one has any idea. And so that's why we're excited. My guess is that the inflows are coming in, and that if the inflows are coming in, it's actually going to be really cool to see how it reacts. But you never know. You just never know how this thing happens. And we got 2 minutes until it ultimately gets the show. Arnie says, think about how many arbitrage opportunities between the ETF price versus Bitcoin. Yeah, that's the other thing that's going to be interesting, is where those ETFs open up and how those ETFs are competitively priced against in terms of a premium to Bitcoin, given the demand side flow that's coming in, or in terms of a discount to Bitcoin overall. And that's also what I really want to see when it comes to this market open. We got about 40 seconds. Thank you, everybody, for joining. 912 people here. Thank you all for being here. We headline CPI came in at 3.9%. 4 above expectations of 3.2. Core came in at 3.9 versus 3.8. Market doesn't care too much about CPI so far. In about 30 seconds, we'll see how much they care. Shelter and energy was a bit more stickier than expected. And so now in the next 20 seconds, the official Bitcoin ETFs that were first filed in 2013, 10 years later, are going live. And I cannot thank you enough from the bottom of my heart that you all are here with me, not only celebrating this moment, but getting to see how this moment ends up playing out for the broader equity markets. Here we go. It is 9:30 a.m. January 11th. The stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. We are here. Bitcoin, 47,921 on the day, up 3% as we get into it. Let's take a look at some of these ETFs and if they're beginning to trade and how they're working. So we got ARKB. So we got no data there yet. I might open up a different one that shows me some Bitwise, BITB. Let's look at that one, BITB. Are we getting anything there? Yeah, we're not getting anything there. Okay, so let's look at some more equities, and then I'll go back to those. I might open those on Robinhood as well. We might get a better view of those. QQQ 410, that's green. NVIDIA 550, that's green. You got S&P 477. Again, S&P being green is a really good sign because that CPI number was not good. It was definitely not horrible, but it was not good. So that CPI number, S&P doesn't care. Market doesn't care. They're like, you know what? Inflation's falling off a cliff, a small bump in the road. We're not going to get too dramatic about a little bit of a hotter number. Tesla is down 2%, $230. They're now below $230. Palantir is red as we open the market, 1677. Meta 370, that's a little bit of red, but it's basically at its 52-week high. Uber 63, up 1% of the day. Shopify up 0.21%. Oracle up 0.69%. Snowflake at $200. Datadog at 120. SoFi is down 829. Deutsche Bank put them at $11, and Barclays put them from 8 to 10. On SoFi. So a little bit better price targets on SoFi. Robinhood, $12.41, up 2.35% of the day. Microsoft, wow. Microsoft, 52-week high on the day. Goodness gracious. Microsoft, $387 right now. They're pumping. We have some news on Microsoft as well. They are planning to pay CNN, Fox, and a variety of other media publishers via OpenAI to license their content, which begs the question, are some of these media companies going to change their business models to getting money from the tech companies versus taking the advertising revenue in order for their content to be valuable in a post-ChatGPT society? Amazon, 156, up at 1.55%. That's a 52-week high on Amazon today. That's incredible. PayPal's down to $60.42. Apple, 186, recovering a little bit, 0.38% of the day. That's green. Robinhood, 1226, up about 1%. Bito, ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF, up 2.9%. ETH, Grayscale, ETH. That is flat on the day, $21, so that's okay. IBIT is finally up $28.19. It hit 30 at one point, so that one is now showing. ARKB not showing yet. Bitwise not showing yet. They'll probably be showing soon. Palantir falling a little bit, 1669 on the day. CleanSpark up 6%. Let's go to the Bitcoin miners. First of all, Mag 7. Everything's green except Meta and Tesla. Meta's barely down. Tesla's down 2%. Everything else is green. Crypto, everything's green. So we got MicroStrategy up 5%, Bitfarms up 4%, Robinhood up 1%, Iris Energy up 5%, Marathon up 4%, Riot up 5%, Ethereum and Bitcoin obviously up very nicely. Bitcoin 47,750. Some sell side pressure on Bitcoin. We were at 47,900. Couldn't crack that 48,000 level. So there were profit takers at that 47.9 range right before we got to 48, and that's what's causing the price to come down a little bit. Those inflows are starting right now from those ETFs. CleanSpark up 5% of the day, $10.56 in Coinbase, 154, up 2% on the day as well when it comes to Bitcoin. Enphase is down. Let's look at Enphase a little bit. Enphase has had a rough week in general. Yeah, Enphase 114. They're down 3% of the day. S&P is still green, man. I am very, very impressed by the S&P. Like I did not know what to expect after those CPI numbers came out. We were hotter than expected on a lot of metrics, not just like headline metrics, a lot of internal metrics. Shelter in particular was much stickier than what we thought it would be. And the market doesn't care. The market is ready to look past it, which is exciting, man. I mean, remember, we were just at 465 on the S&P a week ago. We just fell from the 2023 Santa Claus rally, and the market was kind of like, all right, are we going back to 450? Like, what's going on? And we did a nice little Uno reverse card, and we're here at basically all-time highs. 478 was the all-time high. We're at 477 and 50 cents. We're 50 cents away from the all-time high. Absolutely incredible price action by the S&P right now. Gurga Bob says, is it good overall to invest into solar over the next few years from now? I think so, but the problem is interest rates need to come down for solar to be good. So if you're going to make any solar thesis, interest rates are going to depend a lot on that thesis. And if interest rates don't come down dramatically, then it's going to be really hard to justify a lot of these solar purchases. However, I think Enphase is still pretty undervalued at this stage if you just look at their gross margins and their overall growth trajectory. But it is very dependent on interest rates. Google, 146. We're seeing a nice Google breakout here. Google has not been able to break from 142 for the past 2 weeks. Google's breaking out. Google is breaking out right now. ARKB, all right, I'm not seeing it on Webull. Let me pull it up on Robinhood and just take a look at it. ARKB, no, it's not open up on Robinhood either. Okay, so it's either halted or there's a little bit of technical problems on both brokerages. So we'll check that in a second. Google at 146. Really nice to see Google get here. If Google can just get to 150, which is, I know it's not easy because it's a big company, but if they can get closer to that 150 range, we're going to be a little bit more in the money. Really nice to see Google getting here. The reason this is happening, by the way, is because of layoffs. They cut off like a couple hundred employees this morning. S&P 478. I think this is. Oh, wow. Is this our all-time highs? Oh, we just fell below under. I think this is basically our all-time highs, 478 on the S&P. That's incredible. That is incredible. There we go. 48,000 on Bitcoin. There it is. 48,000. There she is. She's here. She's here, folks. She came to the date. She matched on Tinder and she didn't stand you up. She's here to the date. And it is time to have a nice little candlelit dinner with Mrs. Bitcoin. 48,000 on Bitcoin. You got the miners going berserk right now. The miners, look at that. Holy crap. CleanSpark up almost 10%. Coinbase up 4%. Marathon up 8%. Bitfarms up 10%. Robinhood up 1.15%. Iris and CleanSpark or Cypher up 5 and 6% respectively. Hut 8 Mining up 9%. All right, now can we get to 48.5? That's the next question. Can we get to 48.5? Can we get to 48.5? This is the time. Now we got to see. We got a 52-week high on Shopify as well. That's very nice. 52-week high on Shopee. I think that's at that $80 range. Yeah, $82. Not bad for that. Let me just show Bitcoin. Wow, 48,150. Oh my. There we go. There's some candles. There are some candles, and it's a date, so we have to have candles. And in this situation, the candles are green. In this situation, the candles are green for this lovely date that we're having with Mrs. Bitcoin. Wow, we're up 7% in the past 24 hours. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely. Shout out to Danger in the chat. Absolutely incredible. Now the question, it's ARKB for those that ask for the ARK fund. The question is, can we maintain this? Can we go higher? Or do we kind of settle in here for the day? And I think, we're going to see over the next couple of hours how this plays out. CleanSpark up about 9%. Coinbase up 3.4%. Where's MicroStrategy? They're up 5.32% again. They own, 180,000 Bitcoin. So Bitcoin going up definitely helps them, even if some funds have left for the ETF. Ethereum up about 1% on the day. SOFI, that's down about 1.7%. This is also why I went heavier into Robinhood versus SOFI, right? SOFI is down 1.7% on the day. Robinhood is up about 1% on the day, right? Like from a crypto perspective going into this year, I think Robinhood is just the better bet versus SOFI. SOFI's got a lot of other things they got to figure out, but if I'm thinking of fintechs, that's what I'm thinking of. Affirm, I want to see Affirm right now because Affirm has had a nice run up. Is it still running up? Yeah, Affirm's sold off. So Affirm was at 50. Affirm was at 52. Now it's at 42. So Affirm shareholders definitely took some profits. And so out of the fintechs, we're seeing Robinhood do the best. PayPal also is probably getting screwed. Yeah, PayPal's down. Robinhood's the only fintech that's green, and that's because Bitcoin's allowing it to kind of hold up. Well, Square should be green too. Where's Square? Square should be green. Yeah, there you go. Square's up about 1%. Square was at $39 in November. So Square has done very well over the past couple of days or the past month. ARKB is the best one to purchase. I don't know what is the best Bitcoin ETF to buy. Honestly, I think it depends on fees, but I don't know what really is the difference between all the ETFs, quite frankly. I know the fees is one thing, and maybe there's some internal logistical things, but I think I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to buy the ARK B one because they know Kathy, and that's why having a personal brand is very important, right? A lot of people will buy Fidelity because Fidelity is a golden name when it comes to finance. So a lot of this is just these institutions offering to their customers that are already sticking with them. And so those customers are going to buy it because it's like, if I'm with Fidelity, I might as well buy the Fidelity ETF versus I think some unique value proposition that they offer because it's all the same asset. It's all just Bitcoin at the end of the day. Google 145, NVIDIA 551. I mean, NVIDIA and Bitcoin have to be the story of the week. NVIDIA and Bitcoin have to be the story of the week. It's just incredible. It is absolutely just incredible. I mean, it's 550. It's up 12% in a week, dude. And they didn't even show any numbers. They just announced some like fancy computers. Like that's it. 48.2 on Bitcoin. All right, here we go. We're up about 8%. Clean Spark. There we go. We got 11 on Clean Spark. There we go. Clean Spark's breaking out. That's what we were looking for. Bitfarm's also breaking out about 10%. That's the real one we were looking for today. Here we go. Getting some nice upside momentum there. Now we need Robinhood to break out as well. Robinhood's still a little flat. I think it's well, Robinhood's up a little. No, Robinhood's up almost 3%. Yeah, Robinhood's breaking up as well. Look at Clean Spark up 12% now. There we go. There we go. Here we go. It's coming. It is happening. It is happening. NVIDIA 551, Bitcoin 48.3. We just went from 48.1 to 48.2 to 48.3. Bitcoin 50,000 today, dude. Oh boy, Bitcoin 50, that would be crazy. That would be pretty crazy. Again, and we had a hot CPI report today. Seeing 50, just psychologically, you haven't seen 50 since 2021, dude. Seeing 50 would be like, oh my gosh. 50 would be wow. Okay, total spot Bitcoin ETF volume has surpassed 1 billion. Bitcoin Magazine is reporting that. Bitcoin Magazine is reporting total spot ETF has surpassed 1 billion. Anthony was expecting 2 billion. So let's see if we get another one. 48.4. 48.4 on Bitcoin. We went from 48.1 to 48.2 to 48.3 to 48.4. There we go. We are seeing a lot more momentum on these plays. Let's go to our crypto stocks in our watch list that we made. Look at how green this is. Look at how green. The Clean Spark up 12%. Coinbase hits 160, up 6% on the day. Oh, it's not easy to get Coinbase up 6%, dude. Like Coinbase has run a lot. So Coinbase is up nicely. MicroStrategy up 7%. Cypher's up 7%. Iris is up 10%. Hut 8 Mining up 11%. Robinhood lagging behind a little bit, but up 2%. Robinhood, we'll see how they perform over the next couple hours, but they're doing okay. Bitfarm's up 11.5%. Oh my. There we go. 48.5. We went from 48.1 to 48.2 to 48.3 to 48.4 to 48.5 on Bitcoin. Oh boy. And there's not, I mean, look, there's the inflows are coming in. The buy side pressure is coming. Is ARK B ready? Is ARK B ready? Is it finally here? ARK B. Oh wow. ARK B's at 51. Why is ARK B at 51 and Bitwise is at 27? Yeah, I don't know how they're organizing. The ARK B's at 49 right now. Okay, I think they need a little bit more time to stabilize, but we'll check in on them and keep it going. NVIDIA at 550, Google at 145, SP 470, 477, Palantir 1685, recovering a little bit after being down. Bitcoin right now 48.5. Wow. Meet Kevin just said now Bitcoin wouldn't break 48,500. Okay, well. Let's see if it breaks 48,500 and Meet Kevin's wrong. Let's see if we get if we can prove Meet Kevin wrong on this one. I mean, look, no one really knows, right? This is all just based on momentum and seeing if it goes from there. I plan to take my Clean Spark profits and turn them into Tesla shares. Is Tesla struggling still? Is Tesla? Yeah, Tesla's below 230. It was at 229. Tesla's below 230. Yeah, like I think Clean Spark still has a lot of room to run. Obviously, if Bitcoin goes up, but Tesla under 230, I like Tesla under 230. I love it under 220, especially before earnings. But we got to see if they can get there. It's still above 48K. That is correct. It's still above 48K. We're seeing a little bit of a sell-off right now. 48.5, 48.4. We got to get to 48.6. Let's see if we can get to 48.6. CW says good morning. Good morning to you, CW. Thank you for being here. Thank you to anyone who is joining. If you are not liked or subscribed, check out the channel, like and subscribe. But we are here. We do a market open every day, and we bring a lot of fucking energy. There we go. 48.6. 48.6. We went from 48.1 to 48.2 to 48.3 to 48.4 to 48.5 to 48.6 on Bitcoin. It's running, folks. I mean, this shit, it's up 10% in the past 24 hours. It is up 10% in the past 24 hours. Again, thank you for those that are joining. We do a market open every day, market close. Hopefully a nice little alternative to CNBC. If you enjoy, you can come back every day. Bitcoin, 48,640. Someone says, hey, Amit, should I FOMO into Bitcoin? You know, I got some wise advice from a Bitcoin expert and someone who has a lot of money in Bitcoin. And they told me everyone deserves their Bitcoin at the price that they buy their Bitcoin. So it's not really about FOMOing. It's about, you know, what do you deserve? 48.7. 48.7. We went from 48.1 to 48.2 to 48.3 to 48.4 to 48.5 to 48.4 to 48.6 to 48.7. And now we just got 48.8. We went from 48.1 to 48.2 to 48.3 to 48.4 to 48.5 to 48.6 to 48.8 to 48.7 to 44 to 48.8. And now we are looking for that illustrious 48.9. Now we are looking for the illustrious 48.9. And you know what happens after 48.9? You know what happens after 48.9. Oh boy. Let's see how the miners are doing. Let's see how the miners are doing. Here we go. Oh my, here we go. CleanSpark up 12.6. Bitfarms up 12.34. MicroStrategy up 7. They're all green. Marathon up 13%. Oh my. That's a lot for Marathon. Marathon's run a lot as well. So that's big for Marathon. Yeah, they're running. They're running with everybody else. They are not stopping. They are running with big. Oh, 48.9. There you go. 49,000. Oh my goodness. It's the holy crap, dude. Holy crap. We went from 48.1 to 48.2 to 48.3 to 48.4 to 48.5 to 48.6 to 48.7 to 48.8 to 48.9 all the way to 49,000. We are just under 49,000 right now, 48,009.5. Whoo! Oh boy. Look at those candles. It's just up and up and up and up and up. 49,000. Oh my goodness. It's just, look at these candles. Look at these candles. I said we were having a candlelit dinner, but I didn't expect these many candles. That is a lot of candles. That's a lot. Now, the interesting thing will be if it goes from 49 to 50, if we can get that type of momentum. If that happens, that's gonna be crazy. New money coming in. Amit learned how to count. Yes, I learned how to count today. I learned how to count. I did indeed learn how to count. 57 short-term top. Damn, dude, it's gonna be really interesting. Is 50K the big sell orders? Maybe there's a ton of resistance at 50K. Maybe there's it's funnier than 48.9. That's a SpongeBob reference for those that got it. Dude, this is gonna be exciting. 3.4 CPIs and nothing burger won't change anyone's top or bottom line. Yeah, the other thing that the market didn't care about the CPI is because it's not going to make the Fed raise rates, right? So if the Fed's not raising rates, it's not like, anything's changing, which is why I think the market was also like, well, it's not that big of a deal. 48,083 right now on Bitcoin. Someone's never seen a Bitcoin rally. Yeah, dude, I haven't. I mean, I was there in 2021 for like the Bitcoin stuff, but I didn't really understand anything that was happening in 2021. I was just like, oh, this thing is going higher, but I didn't get it, like I saw the Dogecoin stuff, like I didn't get it. Now I kind of understand why it's running, and it could fall back down, but it's just crazy to see, dude. It's just crazy to see. Very good, Amit. That's how we count to 49,000 by hundreds. Yes, thank you guys. We are in kindergarten today, and we're learning how to count. And now we're seeing what's happening. Let's go to CNBC. What are they saying about this? Are they even covering this? Let's go to them. Let's go to these guys. Are they excited for this right now? Are they excited for what we're seeing on Bitcoin? 48,835 right now on Bitcoin. No, they're on commercial break. Of course not. Because why would you cover this? You would go to commercial break. Of course. You gotta show the Ozempic commercials. That's important. 48.9. All right. 48.9. 48.9. Now, where do we get to 49? Can we get to 49? Can we get to 40? Now, look, we're all super excited, but we also got to be ready for the volatility to the downside. We saw 40 what, 42,000 on Bitcoin this week. I mean, there is definitely a lot of volatility baked in, and there could be people taking some profits here. It's a very volatile market. It's not, it's not like what we've seen from just traditional equities. But I mean, so far the momentum looks like it's going to be it's to the upside. Let's go to the ETFs again. Are they finally ready? Yeah, ARK-B. Do you guys see? Is it the same for you guys? It's 51 for me. Do you guys see it as well at 51 bucks? ARK-B. I'm looking at it on Robinhood. ARK-B. No, it's not showing up on Robinhood. I don't know if 50 is the right price. IBT. Okay, so IBIT, iShares Bitcoin Trust, that's 29. That's up 3%. I think that's BlackRock's. So that one is up. That one's officially trading. S&P's red a little bit. Google is 144. QQQ 408. Grayscale Ethereum one is up 7%. That one was up 12% yesterday. So that's up another 7%. That's up 19% in the past couple of days. Bitcoin again, 48,800. Ethereum is up 2%. Bitcoin is caught up to Ethereum. Ethereum was outpacing it. Now Bitcoin at 48.5. Nvidia is selling off a little bit, 545. So we got some sell side pressure on Nvidia down to 550 to 545. Bitcoin now 48.9. It's trying to crack that 49 range and see if it can hold. But still, I mean, this is the run up we were looking for at least today. And it's happening right here. I purchased ARK-B for 50 even. Okay, so they're trading at 50 bucks. That's where they're trading at. Understood. ARK-B at 51.56 on IBKR. Okay, so it's the same for me. And you see how like you people aren't alone that are buying the ETF in the from your brokerages. I think there's a lot of people that are like, oh, we don't have to worry about setting up a cold wallet or anything. We could just buy the ETF. I think a lot of people, and a lot of that might also happen on Robinhood, right? But a lot of people are just like, we can just buy the ETF. We don't have to worry about the complications of Bitcoin. And that was the bull case for this entire thesis. This idea was that, well, people can easily buy it, right? At 49,000. All right. 49K. Here you go. $49,000 on Bitcoin right now. It's happened. It's happening, folks. And now let's just see if it can keep going higher and higher. Can't buy yet on Vanguard. We can't buy crypto-related products in the UK. Yeah, I know. The EU. Dude, it's so weird because Robinhood got to put out their crypto in the EU, but they couldn't put it on the UK for whatever reasons. So that's a little bit of an issue. But at least it's in the EU. I agree amid boomers don't want a wallet. Yeah, dude. I think a lot of people don't want a wallet. Like the whole process of it is just a little bit more complicated. So it's super easy, super accessible. And that's why people thought it was a bull case. Some people are buying on Fidelity, FBTC. Let me check on that one. FBTC. What's that one? FBTC. We got 45. There we go. Up 7%. FBTC. All right. We got to add all of these to our crypto watch list and see where it goes. CleanSpark up 11% on the day. Not bad at all. Tesla 228. Tesla still struggling. Where's Palantir? Palantir 1660. Okay, so Palantir's down. Bitcoin's the story of the day. Bitcoin at 48,900 on the day. All right, folks. I think that's it. That is it for me. We are done for today. We'll be back on the market close 3:45, and we'll see what happens with Bitcoin. This is very exciting. Congratulations to those that have been holding Bitcoin for a long time. Congratulations to those that have been holding NVIDIA, the Bitcoin miners, some of the crypto derivative plays. If you've been holding for the past even couple months, just in anticipation of this, it has been a success so far. That doesn't mean there's not going to be volatility, but there is a lot of success in the idea of Bitcoin and these ETFs taking it higher. And it has gone higher today. We are seeing with these ETFs being approved. Word of the day as we end out the stream. Thank you all for being here. If you're new to the channel, if you just clicked on this somehow, please subscribe, like, come back every day. There's a market open, and we're trying to be better than CNBC by myself. One guy, not an expert, not the best investor in the world, but I am, I think, decent at communication. I was a national public speaking debate champion, and I want to take those skills and bring it to the equity markets because I have a passion for that, and hopefully make it super, super exciting every morning to you guys as we open the markets. The word of the day is swank.
Swank.
Dashing smartness as in dress or appearance or style. The suave gentleman effortlessly exuded swank as he greeted everyone. The fashion show was a spectacle of swank. We know what has swank today. I mean, it's very simple. Bitcoin is showing off its swank today. Let's all learn how to count with a mitt. Yes, that is the value proposition as Bitcoin shows off its swank. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys at 3:45, 48.6 right now on Bitcoin. And we'll see where it goes from there. $48,689 on Bitcoin. I'll see you guys at 3:45 and we'll keep up the coverage. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you in a little bit. Have a good one.